Phil Lewis is here. So exciting. I've waited a long time for this one, and it's finally going to happen. So I am a huge LA Guns fan, and I assume you are too if you're listening to this one. But before we get to Phil, real quick, if you could make sure to subscribe and like this video if you're watching on YouTube. Yes, I know I'm being annoying if you're a regular listener to the show. You probably heard me say this a million times. Or if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere else, I think you can also follow or subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any future episodes. I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, back to Phil and LA Guns. They've got a new album out. It's called Checkered Past. And the 4 songs that I've heard so far are all really good. And I really like all the new albums they've put out since the reunion. Missing Piece, Devil You Know. It's great stuff. So it's LA Guns, but with a modern sound. And the songwriting and the production are great. And in this interview, Phil is very candid about the new record and his and Tracii's checkered past, shall we say. And I only had about 30 minutes with him. But if you're an LA Guns fan, you're going to love this. Please do not leave me any comments about me smiling or nodding too much. Yes, I know I am a huge LA Guns fan. And again, he's the singer. So I'm not going to contain my excitement in this one. I have a lot of fun, and I think you will too. Enjoy it. Well, welcome to the show. So I heard you say you don't like doing interviews because you're afraid that you might say something you're not supposed to or something like that.
Well, I always say something I'm not supposed to, and then that ends up as being the main headline in an interview. I could be talking about growing apples. And mention something, an offhand remark about Don Dokken or something, and that becomes the headline. So yeah, you got to be careful. So I don't do interviews unless I'm promoting something, unless we've got an album out or getting a tour lined up or anything, because it just it can come back and bite you. You got a lot of nasty people out there that really revel.
Yeah, but any press is good press, right? Isn't that that's some people's theory, anyways? No,
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe when you're starting out, but no, it has to be good press because that's what we're worthy of. I mean, we're a good press fan.
Yeah, so let's talk about the new stuff. The newest song I think this is actually not the newest because you just released Get Along today, but Cannonball. I love this. This is a badass opening riff. Who came up with that riff, and why did you shave the mustache? Because that was so awesome.
Yes, thank you very much. Johnny Martin came up with that riff.
Okay.
He brought that one in, and it sounds fantastic. The mustache, wow, yeah, that was epic, wasn't it?
Yes.
The story is, when this whole plague, a pandemic, lockdown, I decided I wasn't going to shave until my next gig, assuming that it might be a month or two. I didn't realize it was going to be like a year plus. So I hadn't shaved. It just, I shaved the bottom part because I just couldn't bear that. But yeah, I just let the mustache grow, and I've never had anything like that. And I got the full Stonewall Jackson, didn't I? I got the Civil War chops and everything. And that worked really, really well for the theme, the pirate theme of Cannonball. And it was almost like I'd been growing it specifically for that. And in a way, maybe I just made use of it. And I shaved it right after after the shoot, right after I finished Cannonball, and I had to start Get Along. So I started Get Along fresh face. I shaved I shaved that what took me like a year to grow. Took me about 35 seconds to shave with a razor.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just it was a useful prop, but it's a big relief to get it off. I don't like that stuff on my face.
Right. No, I agree. It's I'm the same way. But the other songs, Knock Me Down. I think this song it's like kind of like a classic, almost like AC/DC riff, AC/DC-ish riff. What are the lyrics a reference to with "Knock Me Down"? What is that? Something? Did you come up with those?
Just about, getting knocked down, but getting right back up again. Kind of like that "I'm still standing" kind of a vibe, and just like standing your ground and not buckling. Basically, the songs aren't about anybody specifically. They're just like themes.
Themes, yeah.
And they the biggest influence lyrically are just it's the music, the vibe of the music, and yeah, that when it started, it's very AC/DC, and of course, if you're going to steal from the best.
Yeah.
And that I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to come in low with that opening line of the verse. Instead of just like belting it out right from out the gate. I wanted it to build, it's a snowball, and by the time it got to the chorus, it's full on screaming voice.
Yeah, no, that one's great. And then you mentioned "Get Along." It's kind of like, I don't even know how I would describe it. Maybe it's like, I wanted to say like bluesy or country, but it's almost got like a 90s alternative vibe to it. But I noticed in the video, there's that Eddie Van Halen wall on it. So are you a big fan? I'm sure Tracii was, but why'd you guys put that in the video?
Well, I wasn't there when Tracii shot the video. The album was recorded remotely, and the video was pretty much the same thing. They recorded theirs. They shot their footage in LA. I shot mine in Vegas.
Oh.
So I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you what's going on with the Eddie Van Halen wall. But yeah, he's big disciple. Tracii loves Eddie, loved him personally, and they became really good friends.
Oh, yeah.
And that's great when your idol becomes your best friend.
That's super cool.
The vibe of it, we were going for, say, Led Zeppelin 3, Hangman or Gallows Pole. It's a rock folk fusion. Rather like Ballad of Jane is a rock country fusion. This one, we got our folk on, and it sounds like we're playing mandolins. We're not. It's actually just a 12-string guitar played high up the neck. But it's quite refreshing, and it was a total contrast from the video for Cannonball, and I did them in the same afternoon. So it was really important for me to come up with two completely wildly different concepts, and Cannonball is just like it's over the top. Elton John would be proud with that. And Cannonball and the other one, I just wanted it just to be simple, acoustic. I didn't want to wear anything fancy. I just wanted like a old pair of overalls and a beat up hat, and I just felt comfortable singing and playing, and that was always the vibe I got when I was recording it. That it was just like that, and we are going to be when we do it live, we're going to bust out the acoustic guitars and just slow things down for a little bit. And that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
That's cool. Now the song "Let You Down" that came out in 2020. It's such a it really is. I want to say brilliant. It's like a haunting song. I could totally see this one in like a movie or a TV soundtrack. Is that going to be included in the album Checkered Past, or is that just like a one-off kind of song?
No, I mean it's on the album. It was the first one we recorded.
Okay.
And that's why it's been bouncing around. And before we even moved on to the next song, we really felt that "Let You Down" had just turned out so good.
Yeah.
That we couldn't help ourselves. We had to let it out, put it out and run it up the flagpole and see if anyone saluted it, which they did. It's overwhelming. It's a song that really takes us out of that whole 80s hair metal vibe. it puts us on a completely different level. And we are that. We are 80s. I wouldn't say hair metal, but we are product of that. So I understand getting lumped in with packages and stuff like that. But this is LA Guns Mark II. Since the reunion, because Tracii and I, we had 15 years of estrangement. So we had a lot of catching up to do, and we both matured a lot as people and as songwriters, and that's very evident in all three of these post reunion records. Missing Piece, Devil You Know, and this one too. The progress, even in those three records, is pretty amazing. But the level, we're so, we're never going to write a song like Sex Action again, and that's okay. It was great for what it was when we did it. It's a lot of fun and it was appropriate, but you don't want to hear a 60-year-old guy singing, "Oh baby, I'm a sex gun lover in the heat of the night."
Well, you still play the song live, though. I mean, but yeah, I see where your point is. Cool. It's hard to write those kind of songs. So, Checkered Past, that's the album title. You said it was a reference to your relationship with you and Tracii. So, take me through this relationship, because I had Rachel Bolan from Skid Row on, and he told me that him and Sebastian Bach were never friends. They were just bandmates. Are you and Tracii, were you guys ever friends? Are you friends now, or are you just, is it totally professional?
Oh, no. When I first joined the band, him and I, we were just bosom buddies, the best friends, you've ever had, the long lost transatlantic friends. And he was just so sweet. And he really, he did change my life, getting me over and giving me the gig. But, like most things, there's a honeymoon period. And that didn't last very long at all. And that's okay. We went from being, great friends, and then, we both had quite, we were on the same page with, as far as the band was concerned, but, just the way we were going about it, he wanted to be, at times, I really felt like he I wanted to be Slayer or Motorhead. And I was just like, no, I don't, that's not right for us. And so, we did, our opinions did vary. And we, for the most part, we stayed friends. But the thing was, in the big days, in the Cocked and Loaded, in the multi-platinum days, there was a lot of outside pressure, from management and publicists and even accountants, just say, we became not so much a band, but, they were looking for a hit machine. There was Poison, there was Cinderella, and they wanted us to follow in the footsteps and get to that, like multi Bon Jovi. The Bon Jovi label signed us, the label that signed Cinderella, Polygram signed us. And they signed us because they liked our edge, they liked the rawness of it. And then it didn't take too long before they wanted to smooth it out and find a hit and, write us a hit, write us a power ballad. And that was all the thing at the time. And that drove a big wedge between Tracii and I's friendship. There's no doubt about it. And for a while there, because of that, we actually hated each other. We recorded, like, after Hollywood Vampires, like Vicious Circle and all of that stuff. We were in separate, same studio, but strictly on separate times so that we wouldn't have to encounter each other. It got that bad.
Wow.
And then, like, when we did get back together, the first reunion, and we put Waking the Dead together, which I thought was fucking great. It was just, I was so happy that we'd found ourselves. Because the record before that, Man in the Moon, it's a good record, but it's not really it's not typically LA Guns. And I really felt like Waking the Dead, we'd got our vibe, our groove back. And we were just getting ready to promote the record, and it was coming out, and we had the tour lined up with Alice Cooper. And Tracii bolted. He fucked off. He decided he wanted to be in a band with Nikki Sixx, and just focus on that, and fuck us and fuck that record. It was the most astounding piece of selfishness I'd ever encountered in my life, and that was the beginning and the cause of the 15-year estrangement.
And now you worked through that, or you guys just not even talk about that stuff?
We worked through it. Like it just, as I said, during that time, those years apart, we both grew up a lot, and he wasn't that little shit that didn't give a flying fuck about us because he wanted to go off with Nikki Sixx, and even Nikki Sixx was saying, "Look, Trace, it's just a side project we've got going here. Don't give up your band."
Yeah,
and everyone's saying, "Look, Tracii, don't give up your band. Like step away and do this other thing." And we were all okay with that, but he was just so insistent on quitting, and with his final words like, "I leave you guys to make wise decisions." It's like, fuck off. But yeah, things are different now. Things are better now. We both grown up a lot. That's water under the bridge, and we're back to being friends. And I really enjoy being company, and because we've had that, those highs and lows, we're real close because of that. It's
it made the relationship stronger, you're saying?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it's the same thing with most rock couples. Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, they don't talk to each other. They have their roadies communicate. Mick and Keith had their issues too. God knows, Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend had many bust ups. So it's all part of the course. It's normal. It's when you get two very strong characters, two strong personalities in the same boat, same rowing boat, there's going to be a bit of friction, and we always made that friction work.
Yes.
But it was just so impossible when he's walking away. I didn't honestly think I'd ever work with him again. But times change, and you sort of. It's just after I saw him after 15 years, and it's like, all right. And he was just a normal guy sitting backstage at the venue in Vegas, and it was just me and him, and I was drinking a beer, and he's got a sweet tooth, so he was drinking a White Russian, and he looked like a little boy sitting in the corner drinking a glass of milk. And I was like, how can this guy has made my life so, I've been so wound up. How can, look at him, he's just a kid drinking a glass of milk. And it was just two of us. We were just like a couple of boys, being in the room together, and we worked it out.
That's awesome. I love it. I love the story how, like, when you joined the band, the tryout was just you going on the mic and going, check one, and he goes, "Yeah, that's good. You're hired." That was your tryout. That's crazy.
Yeah. He looked up and he grinned, and he was tuning his guitar. He goes, "Yeah, you'll do. You got the gig." True story.
That's awesome. I love, too, you have such an eye for talent. Not only talent, but I feel like you've had so many great members of LA Guns, like some of my favorite guests, like Adam Hamilton, Michael Grant, Kerry Kelly, Ace Von Johnson, the current guitarist. How do you pick talent? I mean, it seems like you're able to find people who have a good vibe.
Yeah. Well, Adam, the first guy you mentioned, has been a fantastic find. And
everybody loves him, by the way. They love him. I interviewed him. I still get comments every couple of months. I love Adam so much.
He's the nicest, sweetest, down-to-earth guy. There's no airs or graces. He's funny. He's really talented. He's really good. And he's humble with it. So Adam has obviously been a bass player in LA Guns. He's actually the current drummer. Or rather, he's the drummer.
Studio?
Yeah, he played all the drums
Right.
on this one, and did a fantastic job. Coogan couldn't do it. He didn't have a setup. He didn't have a recording studio with drums set up. Adam does.
Yeah.
And because he's been involved in production, and he was compiling all the files which we were recording remotely and sending it. He was like, the main depot for the songs, and he had the drums all set up, ready to go. So he just played them, and he did a great job. The drums are fantastic on it. I mean, Adam can do anything, but I think his real forte is drumming. He's really good.
Yeah. So then Shane is going to come back to tour because he's pretty busy with, isn't he doing the Kanye West thing? He's Kanye West like private. So he's still going to be able to do that. LA Guns too.
He's Kanye's personal engineer.
Yeah.
Kanye won't go in the studio unless, Shane's driving. And that's a great gig. But, he's all right with it. And Shane told him, what was going on. And he's offered his warehouse to rehearse in.
Okay.
So, that's cool, because Shane's not going to do it for long. He's just going to do these shows till the end of the year. Next year, we start off, we're doing the Monsters of Rock cruise. And then in the summer, we'll be starting a full American tour, going everywhere. LA Guns, Tom Keifer, and Faster Pussycat.
Ooh, that sounds awesome. I'll definitely hit that show.
Yeah. So that's in the pipeline, and we're getting the dates are coming in thick and fast. And things are looking good. And hopefully we'll have the drummer sorted out. I mean, you never know. Scotty might even come back.
Oh, okay. Or do you have other people in mind, or how do you find these? Because like I said, you're so good at finding talent. Do you have open tryouts ever, or do you just know people in the business?
No, pretty much know people. That's Traci's forte, because he just knows so many people that he's never short of somebody to come and help out. And he found Adam, he found Shane. I've no doubt he'll find the next drummer.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you first came to LA, you felt like you had kind of died and gone to heaven, right? Like you felt like, because in Europe they weren't playing rock music at the time. So when you joined LA Guns, you're like, oh my God, it's LA. There's palm trees and there's rock music everywhere.
Yeah. They didn't not only not play rock, they hated rock. They despised rock. The labels were looking. All they wanted was Duran Duran. All they wanted was like Boy George and Culture Club, and they wanted like club bands. And that whole rock was really looked down upon and considered passe, and none of the labels would touch it. There was a lot of good rock bands around at that time, and they just couldn't get any traction. I was in a band with a guy called Bernie Torme in Torme.
Yeah.
And we were killing it. We were playing, we played like the Marquee. We played like 3 nights in a row and sell out every night. The place would be absolutely packed, jammed, and the place would go ballistic. And we couldn't get anyone from the label to even come down and check out a gig. Like as soon as they heard what it was, they're like, oh, no, we pass on that. We've moved on, and it kind of reminds me of how shitty the music business got when the bubble burst for the 80s, and everybody wanted like Nirvana and grunge and scruffy, and that whole glam, fun, sexy thing was considered utterly passe, and nobody wanted to touch it. It's secular. It's just if you've been around as long as I have doing these things, you see cycles. And it is what it is,
Yeah, well, you mentioned Vicious Circle. That's one of my actually favorite albums. I really love that album. Would you guys ever do any more songs from that? It seems like you haven't played a song from that one for a few years. Would you add those to the set list?
absolutely right. If it fits, if it's, I love that record. I
Yeah,
really, really do.
me too.
It's just the problem is we've got so many songs
Mm,
and a limited amount of time,
sure.
and putting a new album, or in this case, 3 new albums in the pot. Um, it doesn't give us a lot of wiggle room. So obviously, an LA Gun show has to have the Ballad of Jane,
Right.
has to have Sex Action, Never Enough, Electric Gypsy. So there are certain songs that we just absolutely have to do, and then there's new stuff that we're dying to do. And song, when you record, it's a depressing fact that when you record an album, we record an album, that probably about 70% of it is never gonna be played live. It's never gonna see the light
Yeah.
of day in a venue. So you have to be you have to pick very carefully which ones you're going to do. And we picked the ones from this record, and we still carry on doing Speed, songs that from since the reunion. Now, like something like from Missing Piece or Devil, probably only have one song each from both of those records because the time constraint. And it's
Mm,
especially going to be tricky because like when we're going out with Tom, um, we it's a co-headline thing, and
oh,
we're playing 60 minutes, but that is just such a short amount of time
yeah.
for a band with the kind of discographies that we have, and frustrating as hell. Tracii came up with an idea. He goes, look, I like why don't we do a set? We do 2 sets a night, 8 songs, classic, your old last century LA Guns, and then 8 songs like new stuff that we want to do.
Hmm.
And I think it's a great idea, and I'm not against doing it, but I don't want to do it right away. I don't want to do it after not doing any shows for almost 2 years. I want to just come back out and do it traditionally. Now's not the time to reinvent the wheel, but certainly something to consider and come back to. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I like when you bring in the old songs that you haven't done in a while too. I think one of the last shows you guys did before the pandemic, you played 17 Crash and Give a Little, 2 of my favorite songs. I think that's really cool when you mix that. It's got to be fun for you guys too to play something different.
Well, the plan was we were going to do the entire Cocked and Loaded record in 2021
Mm-hmm.
and 2020. That was, we were all set and ready to do that. Take that on the road and just play Cocked and Loaded in its entirety. But obviously plans changed. But we did manage to do a live stream of it, which is floating around somewhere, and that turned out great. And yeah, it was really fun playing those old songs again, digging them out. And like it's been so long since we did them that it had a certain new freshness.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. Well, I know you got to get out of here. I have one last question. I was always curious about this. When LA Guns first kind of broke up, you took a hiatus and you went, tell me about this. You worked at Fox Sports as an editor.
Yeah,
That sounds like
yeah.
those are kind of a hard job to do. It's very monotonous, right? But you loved it. You were really happy doing this. And it's weird to me that because people that usually love music, like they can't be away from it for very long, but you were like kind of happy having a break.
I was so relieved, to be honest with you.
Huh.
Even the very very end. I left LA Guns around 92, and I just left in disgust.
Hmm.
I left. I was disgusted with the business. I was disappointed in my bandmates, and I just really felt like I'd done my paid my dues. And at that time, I had a kid. I was like raising a daughter, and there was it was like, as I said, everyone was looking for grunge, everyone's looking for Nirvana, Alice in Chains. So something of a pariah. So I just got on with it. I took a course in this new new app that had been put together called Pro Tools. Nobody had heard of it before.
Right.
So I did like a 4-week night course, and I learned everything about Pro Tools and recording and just what it can do. And I just put a resume out. I lied through my teeth, saying that I worked at the BBC and I was an recording engineer, and I got my foot in the door. They gave me a job. They gave me like a tape op kind of a guy, and I was the only one that really knew how to work Pro Tools at that time. So it didn't take long for me to befriend my colleagues, and most of whom were ex-musicians that have taken the same route as me.
That's interesting.
And it didn't take long before they figured out who I was, and had a fucking good laugh about it. Because I didn't obviously, and that I couldn't put like, yeah, I'm an ex-rock star in my resume. But it didn't take long to find out. One day I was at work on Friday, and I was still doing like, weekend gigs. And my drummer at the time said that he'd put a flyer together for a show that we were going to be doing in a couple of weeks. And he was going to fax it over to me. I said, well, fax it at work. And he spaced it, he forgot, and the day ended, and I went home. And then when I came back on Monday, there were about 6 studios, and it's post-production. So they all had huge TV screens in them. And every screen had the most glammed picture. I'm wearing like blue eyeshadow,
oh shit,
pink lipstick, big teased hair. It was in every studio of the whole facility, and they were pissing themselves. They were having such a laugh, and it was like, oh shit. I got caught out, but they were lovely guys, and boy, it was just one promotion after another, and it didn't take long before I had my own studio, and I was all set up and making good money too, making really, really good money. And then like 4 or 5 years go by, and then I got a call from Mick Cripps saying that, Cleopatra Records, Brian over at Cleopatra, wanted to put the band back together. He was offering us a budget to re-record the first couple of albums, and we could do some shows and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I did it reluctantly because I really thought that music was, that chapter was closed. But that's an old saying, it's an old country western saying. It says, you don't give up the road gives up you. And I guess the road just wasn't ready to give me up. And that was in the year 2000 when I came back, and I stopped working at Fox, and I've been working and making a living in music ever since.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're back. Checkered Past, great new album. I like to end each episode with a charity. Is there one that you've worked with or you want to just give a quick mention to here at the end?
Yeah, I'm a big cat person. People know that.
Me too.
Although I live in Vegas, there's a fantastic organization in LA called Kitten Rescue. They just do a fantastic job, and I've got 3 cats, and 2 of them I adopted from Kitten Rescue, and they're good people. They have a cat sanctuary. It's not like these cats are in cages. So if give a shout out definitely to them.
Okay, well, thanks so much. I'll put everything in the notes, and people need to go out and get this new album.
That's right. Okay, I've got to go. I've got somebody on the line.
Okay, see you later, Phil. Bye. Once again, the new LA Guns album, Checkered Past. Definitely check it out. Listen. Love the song Cannonball, especially. Just great stuff from those guys. Get the new album. Follow them on social media to keep up with tour dates and everything else that's going on with the band. And that's how you can support LA Guns. If you want to support my little show here, there's a variety of things you can do. First off, subscribe to the show on YouTube or wherever you listen. Follow me on social media, and your comments, likes, and shares on social media and YouTube, that helps out a lot. And check out some of my old episodes. I've interviewed a few other members or past members of LA Guns, including Adam Hamilton and the current rhythm guitar player Ace Von Johnson. And finally, if you have a couple extra minutes, if you can write me a review on Apple Podcasts, that helps more people find the show, and then we grow as a show, and then I can get bigger guests. I'd love to have Tracii Guns on next. That would be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day, and remember, shoot for the moon.